back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, Brook Perdigon joins me. Brook is an artist, designer, and owner of Brook Perdigon Textiles, BPT. Brook began her career as an independent artist, creating custom textile collections for interior designers in Los Angeles, New York, and Paris. She founded BPT in 2015. It was a small business offering wallpaper, custom fine art, and thoughtful industry collaborations. She founded it with a mission to cultivate and support artists, women, and fellow small business owners in her community. She emailed me with the idea that there are two identities when you run a creative business, the artist identity and the business owner identity. Well, I thought to myself, you are exactly right, Brooke, right? This idea that the artist identity creates the products. And that comes easier to most creatives, like just make your art, right? And then there's the business owner identity, which is constantly having to come up with the new ideas and the strategies to keep the business afloat and make it profitable, right? With 7 years in business, I first had to ask Brooke if she learned this the easy way or the hard way. And well, that's what she's here to share with you. All right. So listen in as we learn how Brooke successfully tackles both identities in her business to create and maintain profitability. And before we get to the interview, I have something super fun to invite you to. I'd love for you to join me for Prerequisites for Success. This is a free Zoom meeting on September 15th at 12:30 Eastern Time. I would love for you to come and spend time with me and some of the most brilliant brains in the interior design industry, the incredible instructors of LuAnn University. If you know me and have been to any one of my events before, you know that this is going to be both tons of fun and tons of information that you can take to your business. This event is absolutely free, and each instructor is going to share their best advice, the thing you should know in order to be successful in their respective areas of expertise at LuAnn University. So, what can you expect? The purpose, number one, is twofold. For every single instructor, from Rachel Moriarty, Sarah Brennan, Ariane Belazar, to Peter Lang, and everybody in between, to teach you something, some actionable tip, tool, or strategy that you can take from this Zoom meeting and put to work right away. So just think about that right there, okay? Second, it's an opportunity for you to meet these instructors, to ask questions about their expertise, and if you want, you can ask what you could expect to learn or achieve as a result if you decided to take their course at LU University. It's kind of like an open house type of meet and greet, right? But not a waste of your time. Whether you enroll for any of the LU courses or not, you will leave this Zoom meeting with notes and ideas that you can put into your business ASAP, right? And I will say, though, for any one of you that does decide to join us, you will be offered bonus incentives if you also decide to take a LU course, right? So the semester will open 10/4 and run for 5 weeks. So October 4th for 5 weeks. We take the week off of High Point, all right? And then this semester, we are offering a new lineup of courses, 3-hour intensives, courses that are just 1 3-hour session designed to help you master one thing in one day. Okay, so we have courses in video, storytelling, wholesale furniture, project profitability, all to just name a few. So when you come, if you're at this event, you will be offered bonuses and incentives if you decide to join LU University and take a course that you will not get anywhere else. So how about this? You come, you spend an hour and a half with me, you spend an hour and a half with these brilliant brains. You definitely leave with a notebook full of ideas of things to do, and you get to meet these instructors, you get to ask questions, and you get an opportunity for bonuses, incentives that, you know what, if you decide to take advantage of, great. And if it's not for you, no harm, because you left with all that value, right? So if you want to join us, go to LuAnnNigara.com/success. All right. Like I said, it's free. We're going to spend 90 minutes together. We're going to have some laughs. We're going to exercise our brains, and we're going to get some cool bonuses while you're there. LuAnnNigara.com/success. All right. Now, I also want to tell you, it's not recorded. It's come, be there, or like, I'm just gonna have to hurt myself, say be there or be square, as I'm being square as I say that. Right. Okay. So, LuAnnNigara.com/success. All right. Let's go see what Brooke has to say about the ahas that she has had in her business journey. Hi, Brooke. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business.
Hi, LuAnn. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Well, listen to me. When you send me an email that starts with this line, essentially, there are two identities when you run a creative business, the artist identity and the business owner identity. I'm like, that is just like, you're talking my love language there. And so I'm really excited to pick this topic apart with you. Of course, you are the owner of Brook Perdigon Textiles, and here you are. You're an artist. You're a creative, just like the designers listening to the podcast now. They're creatives. And you said to me that the artist's identity creates products to sell, yet the business owner identity has to constantly come up with new ideas for business and the strategies to make it profitable. So my question to you, Brooke, to get us going is, when you started your company 7 years ago, did you know this? Did you come to it from some other past experience or coaching or consulting or experience from your growing up, that you knew that, yes, I'm creative, I've got this talent, but I've got to address the business as seriously, or did you learn it the hard way?
Oh, I learned it the hard way.
Okay.
I wish I knew it in advance, but I learned it the hard way. I started by just wanting to create my own designs and seeing if the market was open to them, and it was very open to them. And then I had to scramble.
So, what was that beginning aha and scramble like for you? Was it within, did you like, so I've heard many people say, I did 2 or 3 years, and even though the products or the services, my designs, whatever it was, were in demand, but I realized I was running around doing 10,000 things and I wasn't really earning money for myself. So was it that type of thing, or was it just absolute overwhelm with setting up the back end? How did it happen for you that you came through this hard lesson?
I mean, it's kind of all of the above. I think that, you know, prior to starting my own business, I had kind of solely and strictly been a designer. I managed production of the products I was designing, but I never did things like manage inventory or even, work in QuickBooks or place POs or things like that, kind of all of the operations of a business. I had absolutely zilch experience in. So, I would say the first few years was all about setting that up and getting it to run smoothly. And I mean, things that seem possibly simple to other business owners, but a client places a PO. How do I track the order? If the order is not in stock, how do I, what is the documentation or the spreadsheet that's going to most effectively help and efficiently help me to kind of track where things are going, and working with die lots and things like that. There's a whole, the manufacturing of a product has a whole structure of management that I was not aware of. I started with 5 SKUs, and then when I kind of doubled that to 15 or 20, I think, with the launch of my second collection, then it really kind of became game on keeping track of things. So that was a real eye opener. And then, once I had those systems in place, then the second piece was, okay, I'm working really hard and I'm not getting paid. Well, what am I not focusing on? Sales.
Mm.
And that's where my love language gets going. Because that to me has been a whole education, exploration, and a whole lot of fun in kind of finding and establishing sales strategies for my business and that feel authentic to me and don't feel, I know you've mentioned this on a couple podcasts, like salesman-y or saleswoman,
Right, right.
whatever the term should be.
Car salesman-y or swarmy or something,
Yeah, and
right?
I think you recently had an introvert extrovert podcast, and that
Mm.
really spoke to me because it addressed that, and I think that's you know I'm an extrovert when I'm out, and when I am not out, I am an introvert. So, during the pandemic, I was operating in introvert mode and finding ways to be the extrovert that the sales world and the customer needs by, being removed. And that actually was a huge education for me. And they say, um, it takes 6 months in this industry for when a designer gets your product in hand to placing an order.
Mm.
Or, around 6 months, you'll see a result. And that has always that piece of information has always stuck with me. Well, like if I need to pay my bills, I've got to start getting those samples out so that in 6 months I might have an order. And, you know, kind of building to that strategy and also watching the way that the market is. I mean, I know during with COVID, it's kind of been up and down, but normally things are really busy in September and October. So doing things like making sure my team is working really hard over the summer to make sure that designers have new product and new samples in hand come September and October.
Mm.
So, kind of the minutia of these things, I guess
Yeah.
you call it, or how to kind of, I guess, do all the workings of the business when initially I started the business as a designer, and now I have to really think strategically about every single part and every single goal.
Mm. And in that, first of all, I commend you for you very thoughtfully listed some of the big challenges that hit us when we do go from the creative who just creates their product to the creative who now wants to market and sell their product, right? It is to just, review it is the QuickBooks is actually understanding the finances and how do you manage it? How do you track it? What do you do? I love when you described creating the POs and okay, now what? Like I have a PO for this, but what do I do with it while I wait for the product to come in? And how do I double check, in a timely manner that just because I sent a PO and I sent a check or, a deposit on it, did it get received? What is the status of it, right? That's the little details that you lose track of when you're just like, well, the PO's gone. Now what? Like,
Right.
right?
And I mean, especially now, it's all of those systems I set up in place when I started have been so crucial the past 2 years with all of the supply chain shortages because,
Mm.
we have the issue of, our ground cloth is coming either from Belgium or Ireland. So, I am still waiting. It is July of 2022. I am still waiting for ground cloth I placed an order on in August of 2021.
Wow.
So tracking, we've got 10, you know, 10 bolts of cloth. Where are they? When are they shipping? Has that been updated? Have we checked in with those people? And,
Mm-hmm.
orders coming in, the organization and the level of efficiency that you need to be able to pop up a spreadsheet
Mm.
when you've got a client on the line being like, I urgently need 50 yards. Can you do it? And I'm sitting there looking, okay, do I have the ground cloth? Okay, where's the ground cloth? Is it at my warehouse or is it my printer? Okay, great. It's at the printer. Okay, is it the right quantity? Okay, like just there's a lot of
Right.
okay going
And
on.
it can't be 20 phone calls. Like you said,
And
you want to pop it up in your computer on spreadsheets wherever the data is kept, but you want the information there. You can't rebuild
yes.
the all of the pieces of information you need for every single conversation, right?
Right. And I mean, as you know well, we're a customer-led industry. We want our customers to be happy. Our customers are the interior designers. Their customers are the homeowners. I'm currently sitting in a new vacation home we just bought in Florida with in my children's room because it's the only room that has furniture in. And, I can't get anything. And I am constantly thinking, I don't want my customer's customer to experience this. Obviously
Mm,
right now they will to some level, but I want them to know that their designers and the people who are supplying to their designers are really on it. And that's, definitely even thinking like that was not something I knew to do 7 years ago. I just
mm.
wanted to, make something.
Make
What shade of blue
beautiful.
did I want? So it's definitely as the years go by, there's, and the challenges come up year per year per year. It's, the way I think about things is constantly changing.
Mm,
I had an art professor who once said to me, um, and this has stayed with me for years and has been kind of a guiding point. She said that, it was a college professor, and she said she always had parents come to her and say, "Oh my God, my child is majoring in painting. What do I do? Like, I need them to have a career. I need them to have like this. What do I do?" And painting is what I majored in. And she said, I always tell those parents that are very worried, and they should be. She's like, but that they shouldn't be worried because the creative mind always finds a way. And they are creative. And that is a gift because it applies to every choice in front of them. And that has been kind of my guiding light and strength as I build this business is to like understanding that there is a path every way you turn, and then what is the solution to get to the end of that path and turn onto another one. And with a creative business, the first is that you start with a product. You create a product that's different, that you create a product that stands out on the market, which is a challenge in itself.
mm,
The bigger the market gets, right? So then you get to the end of that path and you say, okay, now I need people to know about me and know that
mm.
I have this product. So how do I get there? Well, you got to get your samples in the people's hands. Great. So then you have to stop and you say, and what are my goals here? What are my financial goals? What do I want? What are my avenues of sale? That was a huge moment for me when I started working with my business advisor. And he said to me, okay, you've got these showrooms. And I'm like, yeah, I've got these showrooms. He's like, well, what numbers are they going to do this year? And I go,
Mm.
well, they're going to do whatever they do. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, they need goals and you need to follow up every quarter on those goals. And I was like, what? Okay.
Right?
And so that was point one. And then the next year, obviously showrooms have their territories. There's the rest of the United States. He
Mm.
goes, well, how are you accessing those people? I go, oh, well, I'm not. He goes, okay, that's what you're doing this year. And I'm like, okay, great. So now I've got my direct sale channel. What are your goals there? Okay, set the goal. What do you do to achieve that goal? And that's the past 2 years is really what I've been focusing on that last piece is, for my business, really building that direct sales channel. And what does that mean? And I'm not going to lie, LuAnn, I've been having a lot of fun doing that. It's been really exciting. And, just understanding that having a creative business or, if you're going to sell anything, I don't care if it's creative, you could be selling light switches, really understanding that you are now in the game of sales. And I think
Mm.
that's one point that a lot of creative businesses miss and kind of, you know, it's like you create a product and you hope it gets you to where you want to be versus creating a product and working your tail off to get you where you want to be.
Well,
And I,
with a plan, working your
with
tail
a
off
plan,
with a plan. Yeah.
working your tail off with a plan. And, there's things that are, it's not, I don't feel like in my, you know, in doing any of this that I'm discovering rocket science.
Right.
Some of
Right.
our sales channels, for instance, are postcards,
Mm.
are newsletters,
Mm-hmm.
obviously the social media channels, but, researching customers, using things that are already available to us in the industry for research, House Beautiful, Veranda, all the major publications, combing through blogs and things like that to just really, you know, go for customers and sending a few samples. I know that that's can be challenging for some designers. I always say they're welcome to send them back. I'll pay for them to send them back if they're part of your library. But just sending a couple samples here and there to let them know we exist. And, maybe we send 2 wallpaper samples and 3 fabric samples and a beautiful postcard showcasing a lot of the designs. And they're like, well, we don't like any of this, but what's that there in the picture?
Right.
And it's I don't know, it's a game that I've had a lot of fun playing.
That's it. I love that you are expressing that you've had fun playing it, because that's for me that I share that. I love that fun of figuring it out. It's terrific, whatever it is, the product that we are putting out there, whether for me it's a podcast, for you it's wallpaper and textiles and pillows and things, and for designers it's interior design. It's their product is their room design, right? But it is, I love that part too of trying to figure out, to your point, who do I want to sell this to, right? So, and then how do I get the product in front of them? And what are other areas? What other sales verticals are there? And, and then really, what are the goals? Because like I always say, if you have a goal without a timeline, so it was like your business coach was saying, what are the year-end goals and the quarterly? They're not goals, they're wishes. I
Right.
wish I would sell this much this year. Okay, well that's awesome. How are you going to do it? Wishing upon a star? Like, what is the way you're going to do this? And
Yeah.
so putting a goal with a timeline makes it real. And we don't have to always hit the goals. We like it. Those of us that are very competitive, especially, like it. But what I know is that if we don't even set a goal, we're probably you're just what are you doing? You're in a circle, right? For
You're
no
in a
reason at
circle.
all. Yeah.
Or you're work I mean, this is a bit drastic, but or you're working really hard towards nothing,
Yes.
And I think that the thing that I have found so, so much motivation in, and as I'm sure having your own business, you can get burnt out because you are on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
get an email at 5 a.m., you got to get out of bed and respond by 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of it keeps you on your toes a lot. And I think that having goals and then achieving those goals, or having systems in place that work and seeing kind of the fruits of your labor, those are the things that really pick you up when you just feel like you cannot take
Mm.
another step. And I think that and it keeps, for me, it keeps our team motivated. I have a woman who works with me, and I would say 70% of her job is, designer research and sending out packages and kind of, working on our client outreach. And an order will come in and I'll look in our database and I'll say, oh my gosh,
You
you sent
said
them a
that.
package 3 months ago and we just got to overnight. Then I get really excited because it's not the 6-month marker that the industry
Ah, that's
is.
like, yeah, like there's that little competitive streak. Like we did in
Yeah,
3 instead of 6, right?
yeah. And
Mm.
I truly think that constantly like turning your creativity towards the business and constantly asking yourself, like, what am I not doing?
Right.
Like, what could I be doing? Like, what would work? So if we email someone and they don't respond, should I send them a postcard? Should I send them a sample? Like,
Mm.
how do you just keep going? Because, at one point in my career, graduating with a BFA in painting, I was completely lost for several years and I
Mm.
ended up teaching kindergarten. And right out of
Finger painting.
yeah, right out of college, I was like, well, I guess I'll try this. And I did this teacher training program, and they said in it, there's 3 ways that people learn. There's the visual, and there's the auditory by hearing, and there's by doing. And that I think is something that really kind of in my 20-something-year-old self turned a light bulb on for me. I was like, oh, so you're telling me if someone is trying to get information to me, there's three different ways I can receive it. So
Mm,
that simple thing in kindergarten applies to business as
that's
well. If
right.
you're trying to reach a new customer and the way that you're trying to reach them, it doesn't work, what's the other way?
Oh, that's
You
so
know?
good.
Yeah, it's like I think, and that's the piece of the creativity in business is that like, coming up with new ideas to get you to your goal. And that's fun.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I love that because it goes along the principle that we say it takes a consumer to hear about you, your products, your services 7 times before they typically will react, or not even so much that before they will react, but it's more that they have recognition of you. So the first time they see your product or service, maybe if for you it's a wallpaper or a textile for a designer, maybe there's you were featured in a regional magazine and it's like, oh, that's beautiful. I really love it. They look at the name, it's gone. And then the second time they see you, blah, blah, blah. And then they say by the seventh time, they say, oh, I know this designer. I
Right.
know this firm. I've heard of them before, right? But it just hit me that there's probably an element to that maybe it's 7 times because maybe I'm an auditory person and I heard it on the radio 2 times. I'm just making an example, or a podcast 2 times or whatever. And the other 4 or 5 times really didn't get me in my between my eyeballs, right? Like that could be like a
Right.
little layer of it. I wonder if any research has been done on that. But it's just interesting because you're right. We all do learn differently, and it's a challenge as business owners then. To your point, we sent an email and we didn't get a response. So, are we sending a postcard? Are we sending a little packet of samples? What are some of the things that you do when you are trying multiple times to outreach and make an impression of awareness on your potential customer?
Well, usually like a cold customer, someone we don't have before.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we do a little intro email to get their address for mailing samples. I think we tried that a couple times, and then I'll reach out to them on Instagram. And I oddly have found that Instagram gets you a lot faster responses.
Mm.
I know myself working in my email that I tend to deal with the immediate business
Yes,
emails and kind
yes.
of the cold outreach. I don't have
Right.
time for, unfortunately. So, Instagram people are much more casual, much more responsive. They can also access the visuals of my product immediately. So, they can be like, who is this? And then go to my page. Or oftentimes they follow me and they're like, oh, I love your stuff. Yes,
Mm.
please send us something. So that's kind of our second point. If their address is public, we can send them a postcard, and we do enter them into we have a CRM software, which if there's anyone out there that's listening that has a small product business and does not have a CRM software, I will say to do that immediately.
Right.
That is a very big game changer for us.
Mm.
And if we email them and they don't respond or something, we can just set a little task for like 2 months from now,
Mm-hmm.
reach out again. And, I don't want to pester anyone by any means, but if I truly believe and see a designer's work and I'm like, they, if they knew about me, they would use my product. Like
Mm.
if I could see that connection, then I'll keep trying,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
just make sure if I have a launch coming up, to put it, like we have something coming up in March of next year. So I would put a reminder for March 2023, like send LuAnn our new PDF of the collection,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
knowing that you or
It
whoever would really
resonates.
like it. So,
Yes.
there's definitely ways to get there. Or if, if I feel like someone is not responding, but they still would really love my stuff, I just call the office and say, I'd love to send some samples your way. Can I
Mm-hmm.
get your address? And
Yeah.
usually respond. So it, it is, we do have our channels, and then every now and again we'll do like a push for postcards because they're just a really cheap and easy way to kind of say hello. We're working on a beautiful fall postcard that we had our photographer shoot last year, and it's just great. If I feel like investing in beautiful imagery has really benefited us in a lot of ways, and that we now have, this gorgeous photography. And it kind of, we initially did it for social media, and that was great. And I was like, well, this is like really expensive for a post here. We have it on the website and a post. And so it's like, well, how can I else use this imagery?
Mm.
Like, and also I think sometimes when we post things, we think everyone sees it.
Oh,
And so
yeah,
it therefore
right.
becomes quote unquote dead, and that's not true.
No,
So
even the people who like and follow us don't see it necessarily,
don't
right?
exactly. And they probably, we're so inundated with visuals, they probably forgot about it. So, we're using some of that gorgeous photography from last October for a campaign this September, and in a different campaign, it's a postcard. And that was another thing a friend had said to me when I started the business. She's like, create really stunning visuals and then have a paper marketing plan, because you send out a postcard and maybe they don't care. They don't want that product. They don't, they don't have a project for it. But if they think the image is compelling enough, then they will tack it up on their inspiration board. And
Oh, they
therefore,
will.
you
Yeah.
and your company will live in their design office.
Mm.
And that is what you want. So, of course, she said that, and I made one postcard, and now we have like 30 postcards to choose from. And we're like, well, toss this one in, toss this one in. So it's just kind of, again, and when I think about all this, and I think about to 2015, when I just had my designs, and that is all I had, it's a lot. It's a
Yes.
lot to have like grown, or that these things become part of the design.
Mm.
It's like you're not, my responsibility is to not only design a product, it's to design a business that functions and is profitable and can pay my employees, like
Right.
that, and me.
And so that your products can keep going out into the world. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, and I love this because as I'm thinking about the correlations to an interior designer, the first one is just so painfully obvious that a designer is making that same investment into professional photography, and why not turn it into postcards? I'm thinking, I know Sandra Funk has done this. She has turned them into postcards. She's turned them into the Christmas card, thank you cards, all the things. And I've gotten them from other designers too, that use them as a thank you card or just a blank card that you could put anything on. And you're 100% right. Even me, I'm so much less likely to pitch something into the garbage that is pretty. And I mean, it's on beautiful
Right.
stock and the image is beautiful, and there's a beautiful note on it, and you're just like, oh, I can't throw that away.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually keep all of them. I have a drawer full of all of them. So if you've ever sent me a card, a note, a thank you, I have it, I promise you. But there is that level of, why not take an opportunity to feature your work on one side and then blank on the other side for whatever the note is. And the thing about that, when I think about that now, your business model is your consumer are the direct retail trade, but also the designer trade. And you have designer trade on your site. And so we'll talk about that in a few minutes, I'm sure. But the idea is that for designers, for ones that are maybe doing commercial or restaurant or hospitality or healthcare, yes, they're like you. They can go and get a list of the area, entities that, they can do the same thing. If there's an address, they can look it up. If there's a phone call, they can call it. If whatever. But when you're doing residential design, you're just not exactly going to open up the white pages and start sending out postcards, right?
Right.
But you do have just even this idea of, what if I just had a great meeting with the principal at my kid's school, and I wanted to say, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me about little Billy, because it was informative, and it gave me, tools and strategies I can use to help him be more successful. If you're a designer and you've got great portfolio, why isn't that a thank you blank card, right? Because
Right.
that's now going to be in that person's office and everybody's going to see it. Like, there are little nudgy ways that I think that could translate to an interior designer that really just doesn't have a list. And then also, to the point of Sandra Funk, she's using it. Look, I'm not one of her clients, but I guarantee you she's using those for her past clients to say happy holidays, happy fall, happy anniversary, whatever. And it's just like, oh, this is her latest project. Oh, yeah, we should do that other bedroom on the fourth floor, blah, 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 right? Um, right. I mean, right. But we always say keep in touch with our past client because that is the least expensive lead to drum up. It is our hottest possibility for a sale. And why not do it in a way that also puts your best work right back in front of them is what I'm saying is in connection to your suggestion. So I love it. Really good. Really, really good. And also we have all the strategies for interior designers of, doing an outreach to kitchen designers, window treatment professionals, realtors, builders. So yeah, you're right. Maybe the first one is an email, but the second one is a postcard with a picture of your work. And now I'm thinking, oh, that was that email I didn't open, but man, look at this room, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I love that those really do cross over. And so talk to me a little bit about, I hear it. First, it was painful and challenging to track what was happening in the business without systems in place. And then it was managing the inventory and managing the long delays and making sure all the information was updated. But is there a time that you can remember, Brooke, where, was it just, okay, that's it, line in the sand, I've got to get a business coach, or line in the sand, I know what I'm supposed to do and I just haven't decided to do it? Because what I'm looking for is that moment of turning on it and of actually committing to do it, because that's the hard part. Many of us will just run that hamster wheel until there's this defining moment where we're just saying to ourselves, it's enough. So did you have an experience like that, or was it just, long and slow and painful?
LuAnn, I'm not so sure if there was an actual moment, where I saw these challenges and knew which way to turn. But there have been things that I've done that really have kind of pointed me in the right direction, so to speak, when I just kind of needed to keep going. And I don't know if you've heard of the Design Social Pop-ups. They're put on by a woman whose name is Brooks Morrison. She's based out of Atlanta. And she puts on 3 or 4 a year, and they are in communities like Santa Barbara or Rhode Island. We just did one outside of Chicago. And they're events that, I went into thinking, okay, this is great. I'm going to access these designers. The first one I did was Rhode Island. I did not know any designers in the area. And I was like, this will be really fun. I'll get to go somewhere beautiful and meet some new designers, and maybe I'll get a sale eventually from that. And when I arrived, it's about, maybe 20 to 30 designers like myself, or, designed products. There's a couple carpet people and some clothing people as well. And Brooks put on these events. It's always a gorgeous location. Part of the application process is that each business has to supply her with their contact list for the area. And, she does outreach to the area that books tickets, puts on this day. There's speakers, panels, everything. And so I went in thinking, great, maybe I'll get some sales from this area. And I walked out of that first event with a new community, designers I'd been following on Instagram that we met at the bar after hours and talked about business strategy. And I think, having an ability to build that community of quote unquote competitors is really exciting, because we're not competitors. We all as artists, the products that we create are really truly only ours. They come from ourselves. It's not like we're churning out designs, and I don't know, it's a different thing, because it's most of us, our creations are based in our own artwork. And so, we sit and we talk like, well, what are you doing? And what's worked for you? And where I'm selling a lot right now, Colorado. Or I read an article in the New York Times that all like people are moving to Texas. I'm starting to target Texas. Like
Wow. Yeah.
we're sharing ideas casually that are really invigorating all of us. And it's turned into such a fun community. And now I go and I don't even care if I get sales from it. I'm just happy to talk to my new friends like, and talk
Mm.
business and come up with ideas. So I think that, the thing I found is that as my business grows each year, what my challenges are evolve and often become bigger, and my community evolves. And there's there's tons of aha moments in both ways of challenges and non-challenges. And I think I recently had one of my lead employees decide to move on, which was very challenging.
Mm.
And that we have a very small team. And I started interviewing people and I realized I didn't know how to interview people. So I was like,
Right.
oh my gosh, okay, here's
Another skill set you have to learn.
another skill set. 7 years in, I've got another aha
Right.
moment. And I was ready. I told my husband, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I was like, I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. He's like, well, you realize that means the kids have to stay home. And I was like, never mind. I'm gonna figure out how to interview.
That's it.
So
I don't want any of us in the same house all darn day.
they're 3 and 4. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh,
So
no.
I started interviewing.
You realize the kids have to stay home then.
I know. I was
That's a
like,
great
whoa, whoa, whoa.
line.
So to like deal with this problem, I was like, all right, I got to put the brakes on actually interviewing people. Now I'm going to turn and interview owners of businesses I respect about how they interview people.
Yeah.
Because, I like talking to new people and I like talking to people, and chances are I'm going to like you right away, but I'm not going to know if you're going to be able to do a good job. And I don't know what I need to look for in a 45-minute interview to tell me that. So I found that when I started reaching out to, our wallpaper printer who has built this incredible team, I had a Zoom call with her and was like, tell me what you ask people in an interview. Tell me what you look for.
Mm.
And she gave me her notes. And then I spoke with another friend who runs an incredibly successful fabric line in New York and was like, tell me what you look for. Like,
Mm.
you know, and I, as I'm talking to these people, I'm making tons and tons of notes. And then I take all that and compile it into my own system.
Nice.
And I was able to hire someone exceptional. So I think that, to keep going back to this question, is if there is a challenge moment, I've learned that these challenge moments, they keep coming.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah, it's
there's
gonna
always,
keep happening.
like, there's that one moment where you're just like, oh, okay, this is the moment. And, it leads me back to that, what we talked about earlier is whereas there are these paths and you start on a path of growth and you get to the end, you're met with a moment and you turn and you go down another path.
Yeah.
Like you're in a labyrinth of your own creation.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it's smart. Look, it's funny and sweet the way you said it that, oh, there's, I learned that. Now I got to learn something else. And it's so true. And what's so funny is what goes through my mind is you literally just realize that you need to know how to interview properly to hire properly, right? It is a skill set. And I just recently talked about it on one of the, I think on the window treatment podcast. I can't keep straight which podcast I talk about different things anymore, but saying how, look, I'm a naturally communicative person. I'm very intuitive. I am, consider myself somebody that asks good questions. And I did it by the wing it process for a good probably 15 to 20 years on interviewing employees. And it wasn't until I really started to work closely with my cousin Eileen Hahn, who's an expert at organizational development. And she was like, Lou, you wouldn't execute a window treatment without a process. You wouldn't execute a podcast without a process. She goes, what makes you think that hiring and interviewing to hire is a wing it situation? I was like, okay.
Right.
And so it's incredibly valuable when you do take the time to learn how to interview. And but where I'm going with all this is if you haven't learned this skill yet, then the next one is going to be how to fire. I just had a designer this week text me and say, do you have any podcast episodes on how to fire? I am in a situation and I don't know how to do it. And I was like, well, okay, we got to get on that. Because it's you don't think about it as a business owner when you are, well, you don't think about it as a creative, is to the point of everything that you have been talking about here. Is when you think about taking your passion and your talent and turning it, into a business. I don't know that many of us actually think I'm turning it into a business. You think I'm going to start doing my passion and my talent, right? I mean, I feel like that's what, this whole thing started with when you said to me, in the email that there's an artist identity, I create product to sell, and there's a business owner identity that comes up with the strategies for effectively running the business. And, these are the things that we've got to understand, that they're going to just keep, what it's like at the ocean. It just keeps coming back. It goes
Oh
away
boy, does
and
it
then it
ever.
comes back. It goes away. Oh, I learned that. It came back. Oh, I learned that. There's another thing that came back. And 40 years into it, Brooke, I'm telling you, I have my lessons every day. It's one of the things that keeps me so motivated and involved in the creation of this podcast, and now with the new podcast, is because you guys, each one of you, teaches me something every day, and that I take to my business too. And I think the big thing is not to be afraid that you're going to have hard lessons, but to understand that with intention and goal setting and being open minded, you can stand back up from them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's, you know, it's the same mentality that like when you're working on a painting, for instance, and something you've put in doesn't work, you find a way to
Right.
fix it. You look at it, you evaluate it, you try this, that doesn't work, you try this, that doesn't work, and then you get it right. It's the same,
Right.
and I think that that's, like we said at the beginning, that's definitely been something I learned, but I think also, I had no idea what I was doing when I was started designing my own designs. I just wanted to see if anyone would like them.
Right.
And I think they did. And then, uh-oh, it's
I
so I
got
think,
what I wished for.
yeah, like all the little nuances of having a it's like it's like an unfolding. You're just constantly opening anew and opening
Mm.
anew and opening anew, and it's fun and it is problem solving, and when it works and when you can see that a decision or a system that you've put in place works, it is exceptionally rewarding because that is actually when you get to grow, when the system works and functions for you, you can move on and, you know,
Right.
and it's
Right.
exciting.
I love it. I love it. I have to say, give us 2 or 3 minutes. Talk to me about the trade program. So it's, first of all, tell us the website that we find all of these beautiful. I looked at it. They're gorgeous. The textiles, the pillows, the wallpapers. Tell us about the actual products for a moment and how designers work with you.
So we sell fabric by the yard, wallpaper by the yard, and ready-made pillows that are easy for like a last minute toss, or you can incorporate them at the beginning.
Mm.
I sell to the trade. I do have some showrooms in New York, the Southeast, the Midwest, and London. And then we just actually, like 2 weeks ago, launched an online trade program. So our website is brookperdigontextiles.com. And on the website is a link that says trade, and you can log in, or you first establish an account and then you
Mm.
can log in, and there all designers will be able to request samples for free. They'll have full visibility of our trade pricing. They'll be able to place yardage orders. The only thing we have not yet figured out to do is to show stock. I have my developers
Mm.
and who are actually in the Ukraine working on that, and it's kind of a platform limitation, but we're hoping to be able to incorporate that within the next couple months
Mm.
probably. But so we're, in our decision to have this trade platform was that as we've been growing, we're now to the point where so much of our day is fielding requests and inquiries and stock checks and price checks and things like that. So we're hoping by having, this visibility or this option online that designers can actually get what they need immediately and, not have to wait for the email response and be able to move through their day more quickly. And it will free us up to do more things for me, like design.
Right.
Yes, I have
Well,
to do.
that you're, I love that you're thinking about how to make your day easier and the designer's day easier, right? Like, let's get back to what we were doing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because I feel like, if I'm down at the printer, checking on fabric or something like that, I try not to email from my phone because it sometimes doesn't always end well. I'll either quote the wrong price from memory or something like that. So it could be an hour or two before a customer gets that information. And it just seems like,
Yeah, we're moving at the speed of light. We pick something else by then, right? I
yeah,
mean, I'm sure that
exactly.
happens. I'm sure that
Exactly.
happens. Yeah, yeah,
So again, with stock too, if someone needs something right away and I've got 2 yards and they need 30, they don't even have to email me to check. They can be like, oops, I'm going to move on to something else,
right,
or,
right, 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 right.
so we're just trying to think of ways to like unantiquate the business. I think that there is a lot of antiquity in the interior design business, the way things are done. So we're trying to kind of see if we can move it along, but you never know.
I know,
So
right? Well, it's a
right,
lot. I mean, to your point, it's, first you bring your talent, you bring your ideas, your creativity, but you've got to, go through all of those hoops and jump all of those hurdles and, all the things in order to actually have all the operations back end support in a timely, efficient, productive way so that the art can get out there, And for
right,
interior designers, it's the same. If, I email or text you or, whatever, and I Instagram you and I want an inquiry and it's, days before you can organize yourself to get back to me, well, I don't know. Maybe I already interviewed somebody else by then. Or if you don't have your weekly Friday status checks, status updates to me, and I'm sitting here with $500,000 of furniture, that I've ordered with you, and I don't know what's going on, well, then I'm going to be blowing up your email and your phone all the time, as opposed to just understanding that on Friday, my designer is going to tell me where I'm at. And these are the things that make the difference when we run our business, right?
right. And also too, just thinking like, I mean, I'm in my mid 40s, not to give up too much information here, but I've got a younger set of interior designers coming up and they're coming up quick and
Yes.
their technical capabilities, their technical expectations are greater than mine. So kind
Yeah.
of how do we meet that new crowd,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's a lot.
No,
So,
it's true. It's true. I mean, if you're showing, like you said, with, systems and, ways of getting the information back and forth are not quick and easy and all the things, people move on. So
people move
I
on.
love that you're thinking about all these things, but it's baby steps, right? First the big things: get the finances under control, get the marketing and the sales funnels under control, and make sure then that all those other pieces are falling in. I find that, having launched the podcast 6 years ago, and particularly with LuAnn University launch, it's if I waited until the LuAnn University was exactly what I imagined it to be to open it, it still wouldn't be open. It's
Mm,
and I've run it for 3 years now, and my only requirement is that what we deliver is quality. That is from day one. But with each launch, we add layer after layer of stuff. More marketing gets layered in, features and benefits, SOPs are developed. Like, it's just, what are we doing to make this launch better for both the student and the instructor and for our team? And that's it. It's not like, what are we doing to make this my vision of what I expect it to be in 3 more years? It's just, get me better than last time, because otherwise I'd be still sitting on the drawing board going, one day I'll have the most amazing place where all interior designers can learn all the things they didn't learn in business school, or I mean in design school is what I should say. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, we'll just do it with these 2 classes first time, and then it was 4 classes, now it's 10 classes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I love it. You can be a work in progress as long as you do address certain key areas like your finances and
Yeah, as long as you're profiting, you can.
yes, this is another
Or
great
selling, I should
sentence.
say. Well, yeah. Yes.
I love it. Oh, so good. Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your sharing your lessons because I think they do transfer very nicely over to the lessons that interior designers are facing in running their businesses more profitably. So, Brooke, thank you. And your lines are beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And we'll put the links in the show notes to your website and all the things so the designers can take a look at what you've been creating. Okay? Thank you.
Well, thank you, LuAnn. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Brooke explained that there wasn't just one actual aha moment, but several as she built her business. And she discovered what you know to be true. Your talent alone is not enough to ensure your success, right? You have to pay attention to the business side when you take your talent and go out on your own into business, right? You know that. Some of the biggest takeaways from the conversation are you first need to create a product that stands out in the market. So for Brooke, it's a physical product. But for you, it's your whole, what is your Fred Burns only? How are you different from the designer across the table? It's like my friend and co-author in the first volume of the Power Talk Friday Experts book, Nicole Heimer, always says. She says, finish this sentence. Insert your name. So let's use Sally Smith. Sally Smith is the designer who. What comes to your mind, right? You say your name. Sally Smith is the designer who. What is it? What do you hear? And then you say Sally Smith is a designer that. And what do you hear? If you need blank, then Sally Smith is your designer. Right? These prompts can get you focused on how you are different from your friends and colleagues, right? I know that when Nicole did this exercise with me way back 6 years ago when we were building the LuAnn Nigara website, and this is the discovery process. She's like, well, what is it, Lu? What is your thing? And I'm like, I don't know what my thing is, right? But when you really do sit with these questions, it does help you get to what your thing is. Okay. And I encourage you to pick up the book, the volume 1 of the Power Talk Friday Experts, because Nicole does do a whole exercise that you can walk through and really help you get to this. Okay. Now, the next thing that Brooke said is you need to figure out how people will know about you. Right? This is like my partner, Exciting Windows, Steve Wishnow, always says. He says, always be marketing, whether that is networking, paying for pay-per-click, organic Facebook or Instagram, or paid ads on Facebook or Instagram, if it's delivering bagel baskets to builders and realtors, or it's as Brooke does, sending beautiful postcards featuring your work. Figure out how to tell people about your businesses and services. Okay. And then finally, she says you must set goals, particularly sales goals. Well, I'm all about that. I love that. And it's, what I always say, a goal that is not documented, that's not articulated with a timeline, it isn't actually a goal. It's a wish, right? It's a wish. It's, I hope I do good. But when you say, I'm going to do this by this date, that's tangible. All right. But what's worse is not even taking the time to set wishes, let alone goals. Right? So if I have my druthers, I want you to have written goals with timelines, but I at least want you to have wishes, right? I've met business owners that just get up every day and just do business without even thinking about where and when and how and what it would look like in 6 months, 2 months, 1 year, or whatever it is, right? And the thing is, you would not design even so much as a bedroom without a plan. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. But so many creatives open and run a business without a plan. You put your whole heart, money, blood, sweat, and tears on the line without a plan. Does that make sense? No, I know that it doesn't. I know it doesn't. I know you know it doesn't. So make some plans, set some goals, and put some timelines on them. Or like Brooke put it, you're working really hard towards nothing. Right? Great line. Working really hard towards nothing, right? Another aha moment that Brooke explained fantastically came from when she worked as a kindergarten teacher, that people learn in 3 different ways: auditory, visually, or kinesthetically, which means hands-on, right? If you're not successful at getting through to a client, then ask yourself, is there another way that I could reach them so they could understand it? Because we all know that the communication and the agreements that we make up front are really going to be very critical in how smoothly a project goes. So if you need to reach somebody in a different medium, then, Brooke is saying, think about it. Can you offer that to somebody? And because you'll be the benefit from it, right? Your business will benefit from it. All right. At the heart of all that Brooke said is this, that she has learned that as a creative, you don't typically start thinking in terms of, I'm taking my passion and my talent and making it a business. That more often it's, I'm doing my passion and my talent. And she said, switch the flip, and it makes all the difference. Flip the switch is what she really should say. I just heard that. So it's flip the switch, right? And it makes all the difference on how long, on how happily you get to do that creative passion and talent of yours. Right? Before I go, I encourage you to visit Brooke's website and see all the lovely fabric and wallpaper and the ready-made pillows for you to use in your design projects. Just go to brookperdigontextiles.com. Of course, we will put a link in the show notes. And at her website, there is a trade link where you can establish an account and you can have access to free samples, trade pricing, placing yardage orders, all the things. Look, running a creative business, it's a work in progress. But as long as you address both the creative and the business owner identities, you can succeed, and you will, right? Thank you tons, Brooke, for joining us today and for sharing your journey from creative to creative business owner. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate it. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.